A reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. This is what Isaiah, son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In days to come, the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest mountain and raised above the hills. All nations shall stream toward it, and many peoples shall come and say, "Come, let us climb to the Lord's mountain, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may instruct us in his ways, and we may walk in his paths." For from Zion shall go forth instruction, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He shall judge between the nations, and impose terms on many peoples. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. One nation shall not raise a sword against another, nor shall they train for war again. O house of Jacob, come, let us walk in the light of the Lord. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. Brothers and sisters, you know the time. It is the hour now for you to awake from sleep. For our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is advanced, the day is at hand. Let us throw off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us conduct ourselves properly as in the day, not in orgies and drunkenness, not in promiscuity and lust, not in rivalry and jealousy, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the desires of the flesh. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. In those days, before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day that Noah entered the ark. They did not know until the flood came and carried them all away. So will be also at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be out in the field, one will be taken and one will be left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and one will be left. Therefore, stay awake. For you do not know on which day your Lord will come. Be sure of this. If the master of the house had known the hour of night when the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and not let his house be broken into. So too, you also must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." The Gospel of the Lord. Today we begin this joyful time of Advent, which is a time of preparation for celebration of the great mystery of our faith, when the Word of God becomes flesh. God becomes one of us. This great joyful season, although it has purple color and some sort of more solemn atmosphere, although we know why everybody is so a little bit disappointed today, because last night, we know. But God is a God of second chances. So let's give them second chance. Anyway, it's always like this in our life. We win, we lose, we do better, we do worse, and it's night, it's day, it's up and down. It's never white and black. It's always in the middle. It's between, like Pope Francis would say. Our life is wonderful. It's great to be a human being. It's great. It's wonderful. But at the same time, it's sometimes very complicated. That's why God comes to our lives to be with us all the time, to be for us the light, to be for us the strength for our journey. Advent is a great season when in the preparation for Christmas celebration, we expect many things. And of course, all children are expecting very important guests. that's coming very soon with great presents for those who behave. And we all wait for this great guest. I remember my aunt, who was most of her life, she passed away. She was blind, and she was kind of, for me, the woman of great faith and strength. And she survived the war, and she survived communism, and she was blind for 40 years of her life. She died at 92. And anyway, at some point of her life, because she was so prayerful, she prayed all the time, she made a pact with God when she was very sick, before she became blind, and to the point that she was dying, and she said, I will pray every day for all the world and for my family, whoever needs my prayers, if you let me live. If not, I'm ready, I can go. And she lived after that 40 years. And then at some point she had very mystical visions. Being blind, she saw many things. Maybe that's what Jesus means for us, to be awake, to be ready when we live in the world with so many distractions. And we sometimes get blind by those distractions. That's why Advent is a great time for us to maybe cry a little bit, because the gate is lost, I know, and to just sit and reflect, to have moments of little reflection, because it helps us to really see what is important in our lives, what is not important, what is the true gift that we want to give, and true gift that we want to receive. Advent reminds us that we cannot buy love. Well, love is a gift from heart to heart. God created us out of love. That's why we want to be loved and we want to love. Anyway, this aunt of mine, once she said, every time when I did Mass for her and we talked, and she told me about those experiences that was kind of mystical, seeing people coming to her, asking her to pray, beautiful women, many, thousands of them, in some beautiful room that she said. And just when she talked about this to different priests, she would say the same, so it's not like she was making it up. And anyway, one night she says, I had a dream. That was the dream, she said. And somebody said, Jesus is coming. Jesus is passing by. And get ready, because he is going to visit you. So she's thinking, oh, I have the list, what to tell him, what's more important. So many people asked me to ask him, and she got so confused, and before she knew it, the door is open in this room. Beautiful light. And she being blind, naturally, but she saw this room and this light. Very warm, very warm and peaceful and so nice. This light embraced her, and she heard the voice, you suffered enough. And the light disappeared, the door is closed. Gave her a lot of strength for many, many years. She never received her sight, but she was to the end. Absolutely great example. How to feel God's presence, His love, His forgiveness, His being with us. That's what Advent is all about. Like we heard from the first reading, Isaiah, the prophet of Advent, he creates for us great image, the world without violence. World without, when everybody lives in harmony. People come to each other with great smiles and visit. And they want to listen, not only to talk. And they don't talk at the same time like we do in our families at the tables when we celebrate. And it's so loud, but here, and never, we know, it never happened. He was talking about messianic times, but this is still a very ideal image for us. But actually it's about us. It's about what we can experience spiritually. When we open the door and invite Jesus to let him in and to let him be our light, be our way, be our life, everything changes in better. We have more strength, there is hope, there is light, there is much, much to receive. St. Paul in the second reading tells us the hour of salvation is now. We know the book Power of Now. And we know that our brain can take us only to the past, and then we go there, we cannot change anything about our past, and we regret, I shouldn't have, I should have. And it's not necessary. It's past. Jesus wants us to move on. So now our brain takes us ahead, but we're not there yet, so we're worried. The power of now. God comes to our lives here and now. Look, every year we celebrate Advent, but every year is different for us. Every year we are different. We're the same persons, but the same different situations. Something new, something different. That's why God comes with his joyful word to tell us good news. And this power of now, to be focused on now in our lives. This now is today, tonight, tomorrow, every day. And then we can see his presence. So Jesus is talking this first Sunday of Advent about be ready. So we think, what does it mean to be ready? To be awake, to be ready. Yes, this is what Christianity means, to be always ready. Ready means, Pope Francis would say, by doing all the time two things. Maybe to pray a little more, maybe improve my prayer life, and can change a lot, because it brings a lot of graces and peace. It's like you get on the airplane, those who are scared of flying, we feel so vulnerable because we don't know. I always like to see the airplanes flying above, and then you realize you are 30,000 feet above the ground and what to do. No, you cannot do anything. But at the same time, you know you are in God's hands. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Yes, we go through darkness, we go through obstacles, we go through difficulties. It's a part of our human life. It's absolutely impossible to avoid it. I would say the more complicated our lives are, I would see more love of God in our lives. If our lives are too simple, means that something is wrong. Must be a little complications and dysfunctionalities. It's part of our humanity. Be ready, he says, look around. Because I am this expected guest who comes to you. You don't know. And usually he comes to us in different people. That's how we get messages, here and there. We listen, we meet, we encounter. That's how God comes to us. Somebody said that God is present in three ways. He is present in heaven, he is present in the Eucharist, physically, and he is present in the poor people. And that's why the time of Advent is a great opportunity for us, because it's a new, joyful beginning. This is great. It's new beginning. Before we start the New Year's, the New Year and Christmas, this new year of our journey, he always brings to our minds, how do I use the gift of time? How much does it take to change my life? 1 second, 1 minute, 1 day, one event, 1 week. All we have is time. We cannot control many things, but we can control time in a very specific way. We can use it in the best way, and then we are always ready. We're always not afraid because we hear his voice. Do not be afraid. I come to you to be your light, to be your life, to be your way. What a great news.